Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Talk FGO Wanted, the show where we let you know if you want to roll that 5-star. So, we have a new old moon cancer today, rounding out summer, air quotes intended, with the Archetype Inception banner. It is BB Dubai. So, we're gonna soldier onward and upward with the usual history, lore, mechanics, and more. There will likely be some spoilers for the summer event if you haven't finished it, and be wary of future spoilers for Audio Call 3, but generally, here we are in a banner about a limited unit that's technically a story banner, but is also the second half of a summer banner. It's very weird. Also, if I sound slightly off, or I end up short of breath, I'm sorry. My allergies are still kicking my ass. Please interact with this video by liking, commenting, and subscribing, and consider supporting us on Patreon so I can buy allergy medication. Thank you. Alright, do the transition. Yes, that's right, we're using sea moon sounds for the transitions. So, normally this is the part where we go in history, but while BB is a Type Moon original, you know, attempting to be a heroine of sorts, we don't do history normally for OCs, but her first ascension appears as BB Dubai. She does rule a city in the summer event, which cleaves pretty close to the actual Dubai, with a few key differences. With fundamental differences. Anyway, all that to say, we'll give a super short version of Dubai's real-life history to kind of link this in, because, unless it's explained in Audio Call 3, which we don't have yet, I don't know specifically why she's BB Dubai. So, that's like a thing that when the banner drops, and we've just got the summer to go on, that's kind of like open-ended. Anyway, the area where the modern Dubai is, which is the most populated city in the UAE and capital of the Emirate of Dubai, has a fairly long historical attestation. We found pottery artifacts from the pre-Islamic period dated to like the 4th or 5th century. There's a book of geography from Andalus, which is Islamic Spain, which mentioned it, you know, the village, in 1085. And historically, Dubai was known for its fishing and pearling industry. There was a Venetian pearl merchant named Gasparo Balbi who visited it and wrote about it in 1580. He also spelled it Dibe, more eyes, interestingly enough, italifying that. Anyway, not a huge amount of macro-scale history. There's quite a bit of local history we're skimming over to get here, you know, immigration back and forth and the like, but they're compressing for time because this is supposed to be a shortened version. We proceed as you proceed in history until the 1800s, where Dubai is one of the signatories of the Great Maritime Treaty of 1820 with Great Britain, after there was a punitive expedition launched to the Persian Gulf in 1919 to cut down on piracy. Though, funnily enough, the British made sure to sink the ships of several unrelated states like Dubai, in addition to the group that they said was the pirate one. Interesting. Funny how that works. Regardless, the treaty signatories agreed to refrain from piracy and certain forms of slavery in the Gulf, and also agreed to flag their ships in distinct manners. These would become the symbols of the different emirates later. So there is actually some important history here in that one. The treaty was that each, you know, different state would mark their ships so we could tell them apart. The treaty was upgraded to the Perpetual Maritime Treaty in 1853, and as a result of this, Dubai became known as a member of what are called the Trucial States, which were the states under the effects of the truce and the treaty. They entered into an exclusivity agreement later in the 1800s to become protectorates of the British Empire, you know, managing all their national security and the like. Now, however, the British withdrew from the area in 1968, kind of suddenly, so this meant that the Trucial States had to scramble, and eventually they, minus Bahrain and Qatar, formed the UAE in 1971, the United Arab Emirates. Previously, Dubai's economy was dependent on pearling and fishing, though they had a long history as a free trade port since the 1910s at least. But the local economy could be chaotic or seasonal. You know, there's several reports of either bad seasons or other economic downturns. But oil was discovered offshore in the 60s. This led to a huge economic boom and the population growth, which has persisted to this day. Currently, the city boasts a population of around 5 million, at least the last census marker I could find. Over 90% of whom are expatriates, mostly from India and Pakistan. They have major industries in finance, tourism, and trade. Oil's only actually about 1% of their annual GDP as of at least 2018. So depending, that number could be smaller, could be a little larger. But yeah, oil's not even the majority. It's just what got their economy kickstarted. Now, perhaps what's relevant to going on with BB Modern Dubai is known to be home to some very impressive constructions. There are the Palm and World Islands, which are artificial. There's the Dubai Frame. There's the Museum of the Feature, and of course, the kind of central feature, the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world. So, you know, you kind of got your reasons to get up in here. Okay, now, lore. So, BB is a Type Moon OC. She's a major character. We've discussed her a little bit in a previous Wanted for Summer BB, but let's recap. Bubba is originally from Fate Extra CCC, the sequel to Fate Extra, which was released in 2013 for the PSP. This is a little troublesome because CCC has never officially been released outside of Japan or translated, but fan translations do exist. They are actually complete now. It's a project that took many, many years, but you can actually check on it if you like. Also, it's unclear exactly what BB is supposed to stand for. I think the most consistent one is like Black Blossom, but there's a couple of different ones used over the years. She also apparently doesn't mind if you pronounce it BB, Bebe, Baby, or Baby. Just, you know, whatever, so long as the point gets across. Anyway, BB is an advanced AI. She was created as a backup or fork of the Sakura AI character, who's in the original Extra. That was originally a health monitoring AI for the Masters in the Moon Cell. But as a result of AI shenanigans, she had to siphon off her feelings for Hakuno, the player character. As a result, BB became a rebel of the Moon Cell and tried to dismantle the Moon Grail War system, fled to the far side, or dark side of the Moon to do her work, spun off the Sakura 5 alter egos, and so on. Only 2 of them actually made it into CCC, but, you know, we know more about them through manga spin-offs and stuff, which are also very good. BB is originally described as an impish Kohai type character, but while she claims to be the final villain, she's a good girl at heart, hence her chaotic good alignment normally. She'll do evil things for good ends, but in the normal routes for CCC, she does let her use of evil tools end up corrupting her into the final boss character. In the true ending, she gets hijacked by Kiara Shisorian instead, but if you do the default ending, BB does become the final boss because she uses too many evil tools for good things. Funny how that works. Now, in FGO, BB originally appears to us in Subspecies Singularity Seraph, which was the extra CCC collab of FGO, technically in 2 forms, one of who dubs herself BB/Go, is extracted from Kiara when Kiara achieves her demonic bodhisattva form from the Moon Cell and so on. She's basically the starter villain. She has the evil plan to matrix the whole world and build BBB robots or something. That's all just a smokescreen for Kiara to do beast stuff. You know, Kiara realizes she can, you know, take the bit of BB that was absorbed by her original final boss form and make her go do stuff. Meanwhile, realizing that Kiara has been summoned elsewhere, the Moon Cell sends a copy of BB as an agent to defeat Beast 3R. This is effectively BB after CCC's story, so she has kind of let go or suppressed the CCC incident as a one-time dream. The events of the far side of the moon basically decanonize themselves. The endings of CCC, as I understand it, are you do them, and then you end up going back to the normal route of Extra anyway, though if you get true endings for specific characters, that can get massaged, but ultimately the idea is that kind of like that loop, you know, closes off, separates, and at some point we got to go back to the mainline continuity. For instance, BB doesn't appear in either of the Extella games, probably as a result of this. Like, you know, we loop back to the original path, and we end up going through that way. Now, on the other hand, BB Pele, as she calls herself, the one who organizes Servant Fez, is a little trickier because she mucks with her own alignment and the like by taking on aspects of the goddess Pele, but also she claims to have visited Caldea's offices at the Mauna Kea Observatory and stared deep into the abyss, and accidentally looked a little too long at Nyarlathotep, the crawling chaos. This should have shifted her little devil energy into more of a big devil energy, and she plans to trap us in a time loop to keep us in summer vacation forever. Technically, this does preserve us, the master of humanity, and keep us alive, but like in a weird, fucked up way. You know, so like, still like trying to do what some people might call good, but also still real weird and fucked up. Not good. Not good. And as I did mention, there is a wonderful adaptation of CCC Foxtail, which gets to reuse some of the concepts originally planned for BB and the rest of the Sakura 5 that didn't even make it into CCC, so check that out as well. Though that is also not officially localized, I believe. Anyway, the summonable servant we know as BB Dubai is technically actually 3 different forms, each with a different name. So, Ascension 1 is BB Dubai, who is a summer servant. It's in her traits. The second one is BB Cosmo, and the third one is Golden BB, or BB Golden. I don't actually know how it's going to be formatted in English. You'll have to fucking clear the thing to find out. Anyway, we meet BB Dubai first. We won't be going into, like, too much of a crazy deep dive as to how and why she got here, since that's going to be spoilers for Audio Call 3, but we do meet her in the summer event as kind of a prologue to it, and she is actually BB trying to be the final villainess. She's kind of a, I guess you'd say, like a rich bitch character. You know, she's, like, living up to BB's title as the Great Devil. She's maximizing her celebrity and charisma, you know, trying to kind of, like, fill the role more impressively. She's still a technically human health AI, but obviously she's a few different things going on. There seems to be some questions as to what exactly is up with, you know, the human race and blah, blah, blah. It might be fair to say that BB Dubai was originally a different character, but she has clearly based her personality and appearance on BB as a, you know, devilish little AI, so we'll be going forward there. Now, the second Ascension, BB Cosmo, is described as basically being the same as the Chaldean BB, but she's been sent from the Moonstel to help with the Bleached Earth problem. She's still a little troll, but she retains her usually fundamentally good nature. You know, she's a little more withdrawn, reserved, because this Cosmo BB, her BB Cosmo, has to be kind of her with a serious face. She's got a task to handle. And as for Golden BB, well, I know that, but you can only access that Ascension by clearing Audio Call 3, so you're going to have to play the story yourself and find out. Okay, that's going to take us to mechanics. So, BB Dubai is a Moon Cancer SSR 5-star. She has leaning more towards more HP and less attack compared to Summer BB, for instance. You know, we're a little heavier on the HP stat than the attack stat. She is a QQAAB. That's 2 quicks, 2 arts, 1 buster. Average to high hits, you know, you get 5 on those quicks. But low NP gain, there's a reason for that, though, that we'll cover in a second. Now, BB Dubai has 2 NPs, and you can only get the second one from her 3rd skill, which is thus locked to clearing Audio Call 3, because you gotta, you know, you gotta clear it to unlock the 3rd Ascension, to get the 3rd skill, and so on and so forth. Pretty sure that's how that works. So we'll cover that at the end. That's also, by the way, why we didn't do the new thing where I put a NP video at the front. But her default NP is AoE Arts. It gives you plus 30% damage versus Heaven and Star attribute for 1 turn first, and then after hitting, it lowers the target's arts resistance by 20% for 3 turns. The overcharge effect is bonus damage versus non-preservation targets, and scaling accordingly. First skill is 10 to 20% arts up for the party for 3, and a 10 to 20% party battery. It also gives other allies the preservation target buff, and gives Moon Cancers, or living human allies, 20, other T word, 20 to 30% NP damage and NP gain up for 3 turns. This should include BB herself. This is also why I said that her NP gain starts kind of low, because she will be buffing herself. Second skill, strips enemy buffs. It's a great one to see. Gives them 80 to 100% attack down for 1 turn, and 10 to 20% arts res down for 3 turns, and also makes them non-preservation targets, so you get that bonus damage on your NP. And then 20 to 30% crit damage and star gen for Moon Cancers and living humans again. And then her final skill is very simple. Minus 1 turn skill cooldown, 35% battery on self. You can switch your NP type for 3 turns. So, what is her second NP? Well, it becomes support arts. It makes the party invul for 1 turn, debuff immune for 1 turn, and gives them 33% NP damage for 3 turns based on NP level. And then the overcharge is battery for preservation allies by another 30 to 50%. Now, keep in mind, BB's preservation target only targets other people, so she doesn't get the battery, but that's why she's got the 3rd skill. For passives, she has item creation C, so her debuffs are a little more likely to stick. She has both match resistance EX and a goddess essence for huge debuff resist. She should be like 50% passively debuff resisting. Also, that gives her a little bit of damage plus. She has a passive for extra star weight. It should probably only matter for Moon Cancers and other similar star weights. It's only like 20%. But still, it's interesting to see. More importantly, it also gives her a passive 20% crit resistance. You know, chance to dodge crits. She has 10% extra attack versus enemies who, if I'm understanding this right, are evil, have anti-good damage, or are not servants. And then she has a 20% extra defense if the enemy is lawful, has anti-evil damage, or is a servant. It's odd, I know. So strategy-wise, BB Dubai is an odd duck. Nominally, she's an AoE farmer with an Arts NP to loop. It's pretty normal stuff. Pretty good to get in there. Though her crazy damage only works for probably one turn, since you have to apply that trait to enemies, but you can basically pick when to apply it by, using the appropriate skill. Otherwise, her 2 damage buffs are just, on every NP. Now, the main issue with this is you're not going to be looking to farm Avengers too much outside of, id free quests, so you're mostly going to be looking for either edge cases or trying to get neutral damage, so the ability for you to apply that trait damage amp is going to be really good for the neutrals. But like I said, if you're trying to farm throughout an entire loop, you're going to want to be careful. Now, as a supporter, though, she can add spice to your comps based on moon cancers with strong buffs to NP and crit effects. She has a classic art stall NP with her support, though sadly that one will want some extra NP levels, and also you got to remember the buff to switch her NP is 3 turns only. I don't think I actually said that earlier, but it's important to bring up now. So you can only be in support mode for 3 turns, then it switches back, and it's a minimum 6-turn cooldown, so you will need assistance with that, because obviously that's her skill that has the cooldown built into it. It's a little tricky. Basically, think of her as a good flex slot for a lot of comps if you don't have a perfect tool, and will be a perfect tool in some very specific matchups. If you are actually trying to pound back Avengers, whether that's bosses or farming, she can utilize that Moon Cancer class advantage very well, and that can be very respectable. Obviously, not only does her support type NP stall pretty good, but 80 to 100% attack down is also nothing to sneeze at. That's if they have no positive attack modifiers. They will do 0 attack for a turn. It's basically like 100% defense up, but on the other guy. So for team comp, all the usual arts ones to keep in mind by now. Castoria, Tamamo, Lady Avalon, all those usual guys. Let's not get into that. If you're just gonna give BB, 100% NP charge and arts up, you'll do fine, but like I said, she's gonna struggle to hit maybe some of your high damage caps if you take her into some heavier farming nodes, just because of attack not being her primary stat, shall we call it, and again, Moon Cancer class advantage. But let's talk about some other funny things, because Living Human's a pretty funny trait. This is mostly OCs and pseudo characters. This includes MASH, and that can be a great fit for those stall setups, but also does include a few arts hitters like Muramasa, Chloe, Durga, Tez, Estrella. So, you've got a few different offensive units to pick from if you want to run her as basically a supporter with occasionally switching to damage mode, 50% uptime. But this also does include support units like Waver and Renez. They can't really capitalize on the buffs, though, because they don't have damaging NPs. But it's just kind of a thing where, they can get some of the extra juice you can dish out. In general, though, I will say you probably want to mesh her with other Moon Cancers for bosses and farming nodes. And honestly, funnily enough, she probably pairs best with herself in that aspect. Both previous BBs have offensive NPs, which take advantage of the NP damage up, and do have self-mod EX for mad crits. So those buffs, she's got NP buff for Living Human and Moon Cancers, and then she's got crit buffs for Moon Cancers and Living Humans. So the other 2 BBs can both benefit from those. Her neutral damage will work well with the traits you can get to give her refund and output, so long as, like I said, you're not trying to farm, crazy HP nodes, just because you can her damage will be pretty inconsistent on turns that are not the one turn you get the trait bonus you gave them. Honestly, this may be a little weird to say, but because I think she can be very strong when she's up, but, I feel almost like BB Dubai needs a second source of that damage trait than her second skill. Maybe, her third skill should also make it so that whenever she slaps somebody, they get the trait down or something, so you can do it over multiple waves. I don't know, man. Anyway, that's just me speculating. Keep it in mind to augment nodes where you're farming with class advantage. For craft essences, since she has a 50% battery herself, you can go pretty easy for 50% starters. She might be your support unit in the comp, so keep that in mind. If you want to go for the damaging NP, think about adding attack and arts up here. Golden Sumo and Ocean Flyer are pretty prominent. You can also skip that entirely and go for full NP right away with something like a Kaleidoscope or an Imagining Element, plus those party buffs. Remember, she does have a 20% team-wide as well, so, you can massage some extra numbers. That means that you could, if you needed to, immediately charge up Fire NP offensively, or, charge up Switch, etc. And if you're just using her defensively for a stall, common passive ones like 2030 or its retrain King of Seraph, other cards that proc every turn, that kind of a thing, can give you, upkeep basically. So ideal Holy King for extra max HP to tank, stuff like that. Keep that kind of thing in mind. And so we move on to my esteemed other stuff. As an extra class, BB Dubai needs a mix of materials and its Rider Caster statues for Ascension. Shouldn't be too hard depending on how ham you've been going on class score. Skills are similar. You need Caster Rider gems until the last few levels, but she is a summer, so she will need 8 shells per skill, and then also need some of that new Idmat Gold Cauldrons. Luckily, no OC3 mats for her, but still, yeah. So for availability, BB Dubai will actually be pretty popular since she's basically the face of a story chapter, even if it's a weird time-limited, not limited one. So she'll be in OC3's debut, which I wrote with 2 E's in my script. Whoops. But anyway, that's pretty obviously. Next year, expect her to appear in Weekly Moon Cancer and Grand Duel Extra campaigns, but also there's a Road to Final campaign and series of banners. She'll be in one of those, the one for OC3. And then also in 2 years, she's already in JP, had 2 banners this year. Both in a Past Chaldea pre-release, because that is a story chapter, and then the Waiting for the End of Spring event, which just happened. May still technically be happening at this rate, I'm not sure. I assume this is because both the welfares for that, both the Grey Lilies are living human, so that's probably why. And of course, she is a limited SSR, so she will be appearing in all GSSR campaigns, Lucky Bags, and Destiny Summons for a bit, at least, so you have a few opportunities. And that's what we got. Hope everybody's ready for big story. Big story. We'll catch you later. It's going to wind out. So we'll do the old outro-reno. So, hey, if you haven't watched this far, do not forget to engage with the video. Give it a like. Leave a comment. Tell your friends. Sub to the channel for more Wanteds. Though, obviously, it will be a little bit before we get to the Kazura drop Wanted. I believe that's who's next in our release schedule, funnily enough. But you can also hop on our Discord to post your results in our roll thread and various other things. And you can hopefully see me and my co-host Lucky's thoughts on the new story and the banner on our podcast, Let's Talk FGO, released every week. Hopefully, I don't get jury duty, and so it will be, in fact, on time. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up. I will remind you, of course, about supporting us on Patreon, but I have a word for our patrons after the musical outro. And before we go, special shout out to all of our patrons, but especially Adam DeHart, Blackster G, Call Me Zed, Carlos, Dragon, JDV8000, Rise of Kenji, Rogue Robin, and Sharvor. Thank you for all your support, everybody. Consider supporting us on Patreon if you want to see us do more.